Hello, and welcome to The Pool is Abstract, where we're currently rewatching and dissecting the revived series of Doctor Who, episode by episode. My name is Connor, and with me is the person who turns my soft light to hard light.
Excuse me?
Charlotte. I shall.
What?
How you doing?
Well...
I couldn't even make it through that one.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah, I did.
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, yeah. Today, we are covering the latest episode, as of recording. That was Series 15, Season 2. Episode 6, it's called the Interstellar Song Contest.
It's the Eurovision one.
It is the Eurovision one. It aired on the 17th of May, 2025, and was written by Juno Dawson and directed by Ben A. Williams. What do you think?
I'm so confused.
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
I'm feeling generally positive.
Yeah.
However, I feel like dissecting it may not be good.
It's one of those, is it?
I feel like it was a fun jolly or a romp, but the plot holes, oh, they're glaring.
I'm not going to lie, I've not thought about it in that much detail in that aspect. I'm just thinking of it as like, did I enjoy the episode? And as we typically do, I've seen it twice. First time, I was very confused.
My dad, because we just...
Not confused about the plot, but confused about how I felt about it.
I was going to say, because we, just as little...
We watched this with your dad.
We watched this with my dad.
Yeah, because your dad watched the football, and he was watching Eurovision after, and it was just sandwiched between.
Yeah, which is what Russell intended.
Yeah, nice one, Russell. It didn't backfire this time.
No, it worked. My dad a couple of times looked at me and was a bit confused, and at the end I kind of had to... he didn't.
You had to like help him along. Like,
he didn't
come
quite,
on, old man.
He didn't quite understand what happened. So I had to like kind of break it down a little bit, and he was like, "Okay, yeah."
But yeah, generally you're feeling positive about this.
Yeah. Again, do I think it was watertight? No. But it was fun.
But yeah, like I say, I wasn't sure how I felt. I was a little confused because there were some elements and I was like, I think this might be the worst episode of the season. But then there were some other things where I'm like, I like this moment, and I like this moment, and I like that this has happened. Having watched it now a second time, it's not the worst in the series. It might be the next worst. But
what do you think is worst in the series then?
Robot Revolution, I think.
Oh, see, I know, again, this is just me. I feel like this has the same vibes, but the complete opposite. Like
Let me just try and wrap my head around that sentence.
So same vibes, but just flip them to Lucky Day.
Right.
In the sense of, like, overall, do I think... Whereas Lucky Day, I thought... I didn't like it, but I thought it was generally well written. Yeah. This, I don't think it's well written, but I did enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
In regards to, obviously, the creation of this episode, written by Juno Dawson, as far as I'm aware, Juno Dawson is the first trans person to write for the show.
Well, that's a good thing.
At least the main TV series.
Yeah.
I know Juno Dawson has also done a bunch of the Torchwood audio dramas. She wrote a couple of those. She also wrote The Good Doctor, which is a novel. It's the first book to feature the 13th Doctor.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I think she also hosted like a bunch of episodes of the Doctor Who podcast, like the official BBC Doctor Who podcast. So she's first time writing for the show, but clearly is maybe a bit more in the fold in comparison to who did last week's, a newer something.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but the last couple of guests we've had have been pretty fresh. Where this person is still technically, but Juno's done stuff with Doctor Who in the past.
Yeah.
And this episode was directed by Ben A. Williams, who did a couple TV shows, did Sherwood in 2022, Baghdad Central, Humans, did the 2019 War of the Worlds series.
Humans was good. I remember seeing Humans when I was younger.
I hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah, is that... I can't remember who's in that, but I can roughly remember watching it.
And also did a film called The Pass from 2016. So yeah, not much that I've heard of. Obviously, I know of War of the Worlds, but but there is. I think generally this episode was pretty well directed. There's one shot specifically that is amazing. I love it. We'll get to it when we get there.
Yeah.
But as a whole, spoiler-free section, we're both feeling tentatively positive.
Yeah. I think it's hard not in a way to, unless you're going in deciding you're not going to enjoy it, it's hard not to enjoy an episode like this because it's just so fun.
Yeah, I think for me it's like, I know we've talked in the past about episodes of the show being camp, and it's like, there's a difference I feel between like New Earth being camp and Eurovision camp.
Yeah, this is like light-hearted, even though something that has happened in this is really not. It's still, the tone of it still feels quite light-hearted, but I don't know whether that's a necessarily good thing.
I don't know. The way I can describe it is like New Earth feels camp in a way that's silly. End of the World feels camp as well, with like Cassandra talking about the iPod and it's a jukebox. Like that's camp, but it's silly camp. This is gay camp, which is different. And typically, this is the kind of camp where I'm like, I feel like it distracts from the story it's trying to tell. However, I feel like in this story, not really. I feel like it was done quite well. That was the fear I had, that being super Eurovision kind of like tied in and airing right before, I thought it was going to be way too much.
Way too Eurovision, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. So
yeah. I mean, I guess just a little thing before we get into it. I know Cronus said that after watching this, Eurovision automatically came on. We didn't watch it. I don't know whether. Yeah. I'm sure many other people who did follow it straight on. But you did say that when you were watching this episode, you were wondering, is Eurovision this camp? And then Eurovision came on, and you were like, yeah.
More.
Way more.
Yeah,
The opening is like somebody taking the what's it called? The trophy. And like, we've lost the trophy, and then this skiing down the slopes with the trophy. Like, I don't know.
I didn't even see that. For me, it was this thing of, I was like, yeah, this episode's camp. And I had a moment of like, is Eurovision this camp, or is this like jumping the shark a little bit? And then Eurovision came on. I was like, oh no, this is worse. Yeah. This is more camp.
Yeah.
Which is saying something. But yeah, do you want to just kind of jump into it?
Yeah, sure.
So, episode begins. We're in the year 2925. We're at the Harmony Arena, which is like a space station. It's the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest, and this is like our setup. But the first actual kind of plot beat we have is Rylan Clark stepping out of cryogenic suspension.
I love this little...
He comes out in his freshly pressed suit.
Yeah, and they're like, welcome back, Mr. Clark. And he's like, ding, with his teeth.
He goes, teeth, and then like close up his teeth, ding, and like twinkle. And then he's asking like, yeah, and they say to him, 2925 Arena, Harmony Arena. And then he's like, yeah, got it. And then he goes out onto stage. And at this point, in one like the VIP pods towards the back, the TARDIS materializes.
Yeah.
And the Doctor and Belinda step out to take a Vindicator reading. Mm-hmm. And as the Doctor's doing that and he's focused on his machine, Belinda notices Rylan and where they are. Yeah. And she goes, is that Rylan? Which is like, to be fair, you'd be like, you'd naturally assume like, oh, this is like a robot or something.
This is, they've
We're just going to gloss over the fact that we're going to gloss over the fact that somehow Rylan in today's age was cryogenically frozen. And then he seems so chill about coming out in the year 2995 or whatever it was.
What made me laugh?
Is this the first time? Or does he do this?
I don't know. What made me laugh the most was the fact that we learn later on that he literally walks out of cryogenic sleep onto the stage. Like, they don't even give him a day to get over this. They're literally like, you haven't got much time, go.
Yeah, because like, if the plan, like, after he does this like little gig, is to go back into cryogenic suspension, does he just live to work and do nothing else?
Maybe.
Like, does he do a gig, go back in, get frozen, come back out, and then just do the next show?
Maybe.
When does he eat?
Does he need to? I guess.
That's what I mean. This can't be the first time he's done this because he's so like chill about it.
Chill.
he's so calm about it.
Yeah.
He's not like, oh my god, where am I? This is wild. Oh my god, everything's so future. He just takes it on the chin.
Yeah, but to be fair, he went into cryogenic sleep.
Yes, I know, but they would still, if you agreed to that now, there would still be an element, wouldn't there, coming out 800 years in the future and being like, whoa.
Yeah,
Do
I
you know
guess.
what I mean? Not just being like, yep, let's carry on.
But didn't they say, was this like the 800th?
This is the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest.
Yeah, you think they would have brought him out
Does he
for
do
the,
this every year?
You could think they would have brought him out for the 800th, do you mean? Because that's like, if you're going to fight...
Oh yeah, if you're going to do a big anniversary, you definitely get Rylan Clark.
Well, yeah, but why would you bring him out for the 803rd?
Because he's just some guy, isn't he? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but why wouldn't you get a new person? You think it's like, oh, the 800th. Okay, we'll bring him out.
Bring him out.
We'll bring him out. Defrost Ryland. We're
Yeah.
putting on a big show.
Yeah. So yeah, Jesus. Belinda notices Rylan. She's noticed where they are, and she goes, "Oh my god, we're staying." And the doctor goes, "Yeah, we're staying." And then that's our cold open. Then we get our title sequence. I tell you what I noticed when we were watching this. Like I say, it was me, you, and your dad sat on the sofa watching this.
Yeah.
This opening titles, like these titles are so good. I noticed after they finished, I was smiling during the titles. I feel like I'm back in like 2007, 2008 again.
That's very cute.
Because obviously I've been following the show the whole time, but there are things where, like, as much as I love the Capaldi era, his title sequence isn't good.
Oh,
And it's like, I like Jodie's title sequence, but it doesn't feel like Doctor Who. It feels different.
Yeah.
But there's something about this specific title
It's
sequence.
the literal spinning of the TARDIS going through the time vortex.
But even that shot, that long shot of it like blasting out through the clouds and all the
that is
asteroids and
brilliant.
everything.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
really good.
I was just watching it. I was just smiling, and I was just like, oh yeah, I feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after the titles and the episode comes back in, the Doctor and Belinda are kind of watching the opening ceremonies. We cut to backstage where we can see that they're prepping the show.
Yeah.
What's her name? I think her name is Nina. Who's like the director of the show.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Rylan, give me some ore." And he goes, "Oh." And she's like, "No, ore, AWE." And he goes, "Oh, this is awesome."
She's like,
The contest is being transmitted across the entire Western Galactic Arm, 3 trillion viewers. Yeah. So then also like in this kind of sequence as well, we can hear like adverts over the tannoys, one for Poppy Honey and a couple other things. And we also notice who else is here. It's Mrs. Flood.
yeah.
She sat from afar looking through a pair of binoculars.
Watching them. And I think it's a little bit later, but she offers the person next to her. She's like, oh, a grape.
Yeah.
Grape, dear.
Yeah. So she's looking at the Doctor through the binoculars. She's making sure that the Vindicator is taking readings. And she's got like a little device with her. She's like, "Ooh, yep, good.
The last one, just what I needed.
Yes.
No rush.
No rush. I love a good show." Yeah. At this point, Belinda says like, "Oh, we've got nothing to worry about. Earth is clearly okay
Yeah.
because Rylan is here."
Yeah.
And this is when the Doctor says like he saw Eurovision when ABBA won and all that jazz. She said she used to watch it when she was little. Her parents used to let her stay up late if she brushed her teeth and
Got ready for bed.
got ready for bed in her
Yeah.
pajamas and everything. And she looks up at the sky and she says, "Oh, it's a beautiful night." And the Doctor says, "That's not night, that's space." He says, "We're inside a bubble on a space station." And she's like amazed. And
Well,
she's
yeah,
like,
as you would be, yeah.
yeah. Well, I think she says like, "Wow, this is amazing." And this is when the Doctor goes, "I knew it. I knew you'd enjoy spending time with me in the end."
Oh. The Doctor's just like, please.
Stop turning me away.
Yeah.
People are supposed to look at me in awe. Yeah, this is when we cut to a couple. This is Gary and Mike,
I love Gary and Mike.
and they're bickering because their seats have been taken
Yeah.
by the Doctor and Belinda.
Yeah.
They're trying to get into the pod, but the door won't open because someone's already in there. They're arguing because apparently Mike was late.
I feel like Gary and Mike are me and you. I feel like one of us is very keen about doing something and the other one's like, oh, no.
That would probably be you being the keen one and me not being bothered, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's you that would be late.
Probably, yeah.
So do with that information what you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says that Mike was late, and Mike's like, "It's not important. They're just songs." And
Oh, poor Gary's heart.
that's one of
He's
those
like-
things. I was like, "Mate, you're at a concert. You can't just that's stupid."
Yeah.
You can say that about anything. It's like, I don't know, if he's really into football or something, going, it doesn't matter if we're late, it's just blokes kicking a ball. Or you could say that about literally anything. And this is when Gary says, like, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Actually, yes, I am. I am going to dignify that with a response.
Go on, Gary.
He's like, I love this. This is really important to me. And when you make fun of it, I feel like you're making fun of me. And Gary goes over to one of the they call them drones, but they just look like robot people.
I think they kind of look like a Daft Punk member.
Well, yeah, they remind me. Do you remember the slabs from Smith & Jones? Do you remember them?
Yeah.
They just look like motorcyclists.
Yeah.
Just kind of look like that. Yeah, Gary goes to one of the drones and he basically says, see this is my pass. Kick them out. They're in my seats. And the drone says, phase 1 initiated. And then just walks away.
Yeah.
And he's like, what use is that? And Mike is like, phase 1? What does that mean? And this is when we cut back to backstage. And a guy enters the room. His name is Kid. And he identifies himself as a Hellion. That's his species. And he comes in and seizes control of the production booth along with another Hellion worker called Win. So Win was kind of working in the room already.
Yeah.
Infiltration, I guess. And Kid comes in, basically takes everything over at like gunpoint. And him and Win are working together. And this is when he says, phase 2. So they detain everyone and they swap over the live stream to the recording of the dress rehearsal instead of like live footage of what's actually happening. And Rylan doesn't have comms anymore. So he's like tapping his earpiece to try and get like cues and instructions, and obviously no one's there. So he's like, hello, anyone there? And obviously doesn't get an answer. So he goes, oh, well, I guess we better introduce some contestants. Well done, Rylan. Professional.
Yeah. That's why they've defrosted him.
Yeah, he's good at his job. Yeah,
he's good at his job.
He carried on. He kept a cool, calm head, and he did it. He introduces Cora, one of the contestants. And this is when we see the director, Nina. Again, she asked Win how she could do this. As in, take everything over, like a terrorism act almost.
Yeah.
She says, no one hires Hellions. I took a chance on you. And Kid is like, ooh, how benevolent. And Win basically says, no one will notice that the dress rehearsal's playing. Until Nina says, yeah, but Rylan wasn't there for that because he was still in deep freeze. So someone might.
Yeah. Rylan fans.
Well, the Doctor.
The Doctor.
So the Doctor gets like I think his sonic like buzzes or something, and then he like looks at the screen and he looks out at the actual live thing happening, and he notices on the screen Rylan's not there. Yeah. So he's like, what? And he goes to like fiddle with the wires behind the unit, but he like hops the wall in such like an energetic way. He like just like vaults this little like wall.
Yeah, they're like little pods, aren't they? Like little shells.
Yeah. But he hops over and then he kind of starts pulling the wires out for the booth. And he's just checking something. I don't know what you can ascertain from these wires, but...
Well, I think... Because he looks at the screen, doesn't he? And then he notices Rylan's not there and he kind of like swipes to the side. Yeah. And it shows the live feed. Yes. So I assume he's thinking that it's automatically playing the wrong one. So he's going to... That's what I'm guessing.
He's going to fix it, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be like, oh, well, no, we don't want that.
Yeah. And at this point, the opening song plays. This is Liz Lizardine from Lizoko singing "I Love You, but My Heart Says No."
Yeah, in a little tutu.
Yeah, and so she's singing this song, very Eurovision. Kid disengages the safety protocols and he pulls the lever to evacuate the air from the main area. And he says to Nina, "Do you know what my favourite kind of music is? Pop."
Oh, and then you just see the little...
Yeah, and then the air bubble just goes... And at this point, most of the audience are sucked out into space.
This is so, like, weird, but kind of... It's kind of horrifying, the way they start just floating up.
They float up individually and then kind of become, like, one mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're sucked out into space, including the Doctor, and even the TARDIS gets pulled up as well. This is that one shot I was talking about. So everyone's flying up, and you get like the tracking shot of the Doctor being sucked up into space, and the camera like flows up into the air and like follows him around. That's kind of cool. But then there's this one shot where the camera's like quite far back, and you see the outside of the space station, and it's kind of like a pyramid shape, and you just see the light coming out of the arena, and these like 100,000 people just floating up. So it's a great shot. I looked at it. I was like, wow, that's like a poster. Like, I want that on my wall.
Such a horrific poster to have. But okay.
I mean, yeah, good point. But yeah, so the Doctor, the TARDIS, and everybody else gets sucked out. Belinda manages to survive, though.
She's holding on to the rim of the pod.
Yes. Everyone that's getting sucked out into space starts to freeze as well, including the Doctor. You see all like ice start to form on his arms and everything. And we noticed that, what's her name, Wynne, she presses like a button which closes all the roofs on the VIP pods.
Yeah.
Which keeps some people safe, including Belinda. So Nina basically calls them monsters.
Yeah.
And Kid says, I've been called that my whole life because of the horns. I'm only doing the things people expect of me. Which, okay. Yeah, and he says, Phase 3, bring out the device. So Nina says there are still people alive. The Mavity shell is still on. Didn't I say to you, was it last week or week before?
Yeah, I said, like no Mavity.
There's been like no Mavity this season.
Oh my God, we were talking about this after the episode. We popped to the shops, and I said to Connor that, God, they said we've had like no Mavity this episode. We need to make up for every missed opportunity and put it in this episode.
Yeah, they say it a lot, don't they?
So many times.
Yeah.
To be fair, it is relevant.
It is, yeah. So the drones come in and they bring out the device, which Kid identifies as a delta wave.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone unfamiliar or doesn't have the memory, a delta wave is essentially like a big... Think of it as a massive microwave. It'll send out a big, like, transmission that will just fry the brains of any living thing in the area. It's what the Ninth Doctor was trying to build at the end of Parting of the Ways.
Yeah.
That would have destroyed the Daleks, but also wiped out the Earth. That's what's going on here. So Belinda exits her seats and she meets up with Cora and her friend Len outside.
Yeah, Cora's one of the contestants.
Yeah, she was the one that was introduced earlier by Rylan.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was also in one of the pods that Wynne closed. So Belinda asks if they can call emergency services. Cora says that the station is in a communication lockdown to prevent manipulation of the betting markets.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think this is quite cool because it makes sense. She's saying that people could place bets somewhere on the other side of the universe.
Technically transmit the results before they've actually happened because of like the time dilution.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
I think that's good. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, Cora basically says, we're not going to get any help until the show is over. And then this is when on a nearby screen, they notice that the dress rehearsal is playing.
Yeah.
And we see from the planet Grimbold, it's Dugga Doo.
Dugga Doo, Dugga Doo, Dugga Dugga Doo, Dugga Doo, Dugga.
You love him, don't you?
I love him. La 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 la.
Go on, keep going.
No.
Dugga Doo, Dugga Doo.
I was singing this. I've sung this quite a few times. It's so catchy.
Yeah, he's like a little like trumpet duck thing.
Yeah, he's so cute. Another beloved creature that. You know.
Yeah, him and Polish have been your friends this season, haven't they?
They have.
Yeah. So this is when Belinda starts to have a bit of a freak out. She starts to panic. She's like, I don't know where I am. And Cora says, you're on the Harmony Station. She's like, where's that? Sector Diamond 5. Where's that? And she's like, west of Van Gossiter. Where's that? She's like, I have no idea where I am.
And Cora's so nice. She's like, it's okay.
Yeah, she like calms down. She says, hey, you're alive.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Belinda, obviously, now finally kind of having time to process, notices that obviously the Doctor, as far as she's concerned,
was being sucked.
The Doctor's
out.
dead.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, my friend, I was here with my friend. He was so wonderful, and I never got to tell him. So then we cut to backstage, and Kid is in the process of uploading a software update for the Delta Wave. Nina says that she saw Wynne save Cora. She said, I saw you hit the button, you saved those people. You can still save everyone else as well. And Wynne says, we're doing this for Hellier. Everyone else can essentially just go to hell and just die. So in space, we see everybody floating around, including the Doctor, who begins to freeze, and his like he starts to get ice like forming on his arms and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like taking over his chest. And then an image bursts into his mind. It's freaking Susan.
I know, because it popped in, and I thought, is that Susan? But I haven't seen any of the originals, but I remember you showing me a picture of Susan and saying it's the Doctor's granddaughter.
Yes.
And we were literally, like, a couple of days before on about his granddaughter. I can't remember the reason why.
Were we?
Yeah, we were on about Susan.
I can't remember why.
Oh, I remember. Remember we were talking about the Night on Beryllium?
Yeah.
And saying about it's 24 years and like what if the Doctor and River actually had a child in that period?
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
And you said, and that child had a child and it was Susan.
Yeah.
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 So it was kind of like, oh, look.
Yeah. But this blew my mind because obviously there was all those fan theories, wasn't there, for last season with Susan Twist. And it was like, oh, it's going to be Susan. And then it didn't happen. And we were like, yeah, there's no way Carol Ann Ford's coming back now. It's not going to happen.
There she is.
Here we are. Because again, the other theory was, ooh, she's going to be the Rani.
Yeah.
Which... yeah, so... Yeah, Susan is back.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
She seems to be in his vision. She's in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And she's kind of calling out to him.
Your grandfather.
She's like, fight. She's like, do something.
Yeah, she says, come find me, come back to me. Which, for anyone who doesn't recall, Susan was last seen in season 2.
Christ.
So that would have been 1964, I think.
Oh my God.
When that was during the Dalek invasion of Earth, and the Doctor left her behind because she fell in love with a man. I think his name was David.
Yeah.
I think she fell in love with a man there, and the Doctor left her behind so she could spend her life with him, and she wouldn't feel the need to be stuck with her old grandfather, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's where, from the Doctor's perspective, that's where she is.
So
Still.
how old is the woman who plays Susan then?
Carol Ann Ford?
She's got to be in her what? Well, if it was in the 60s, she's got to be in her 80s, 70s, 80s, something like that.
And Ford. I'm going to Google.
She's got to be something around that age.
She's 84.
Fair play. She looks great for 84. But to come back as well, you know,
Yeah.
after all that time.
Just showing Charlotte a photo of her back in 1964.
I mean, she hasn't changed that much. Again, the fact that I saw that photo of her and recognised her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Doctor kind of, after seeing her, kind of stirs a little bit from being...
I want to know why this is happening.
Why he's stirring, yeah.
No, why she's popping into his head. There's got to be a reason, like a sci-fi reason for this, rather than just like, oh, he's going to die and he's seeing her in his vision as he's dying. He's like, he's been in this kind of position so many times.
Oh, God, yeah. I think she's going to show up in the next episode.
Well, he was hoping.
I think she's going to play a part in... Maybe that's her, after us knowing about what happens at the end of this episode, that maybe that's her trying to send him a warning and asking her to come back to find her for them to fix things. Maybe.
Yeah, so she says, come back, find me. So at this point, he comes to in space, and he obviously can't breathe, but he grabs a nearby confetti cannon.
I love this because, is it Mike and Gavin?
Gary.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah.
And they look at it and they're like, look, that one's moving.
He's like, is he going to use a confetti cannon to propel himself through space?
He is.
Yeah. And he does. He grabs it, he activates it, and goes and launches himself across space and into the airlock where Mike and Gary essentially let him in.
Yeah.
And they meet him there. And it's funny because he falls over. He comes inside, falls over, stands up, kind of like opens his eyes like in shock, and then just passes out again. And this is when we find out that Mike is some kind of medic.
Yeah.
So he grabs like a med kit off the wall to try and revive the Doctor, and he's got like a scanner, and he scans his body first, and he's like gushing over his vitals. He's like, "Oh, 2 hearts."
Show off.
Yeah. And
I just love Mike and Gary. Their relationship is so cute.
yeah, because Gary's like, "Oh, I've never seen you at work before," and he's like, "Good, that means you're not sick."
Yeah, it's so sweet. He's like, oh, you know, kind of acting like how amazed he is at doing his job. It's very heartwarming. I like this.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, and he injects the doctor with some sort of syringe.
Yeah.
And the doctor wakes up. He kind of goes, wakes up, and he goes, "Did I just fly through space on a confetti cannon?" And they're like, "Yep." Yeah. And he goes, "Camp."
Love it.
Yeah. So at this point, they kind of have a conversation and they talk about how everyone is frozen, but not necessarily dead.
Yeah.
And they kind of...
they're likening it to... Because they're saying that if you've gone into a quick deep freeze, it's kind of like what Ryland went into. So there's a possibility that he could... They say
like your heart rate slows down and you essentially stop, but you don't die. Like you can come back type of thing. So they say that the gravity was increased by the doctor, so theoretically everyone is still in range of the station. And this is when I think it's Mike that says, to catch 100,000 people and revive them all, you'd have to be some sort of insane genius. And the doctor just goes, "Hello."
I'm the doctor.
Yeah. Oh man, he's really good in this, isn't he?
He is.
So the doctor scans through like a nearby terminal. And then at this point, this like massive wave comes out, kind of like sonic waves. You get that typical like TV thing when like an explosion happens where all the sound goes quiet and you can just hear like a tinnitus effect.
Yeah, because the doctor's kind of messing with this thing, isn't he? He's like,
he's messing with like the terminal on the wall, and he's like it's like touch screen or something, and he's like tapping it. But yeah, this wave comes out and everyone's on the floor like plugging their ears, and they look like they're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But then the doctor grabs his sonic and he kind of sonics the terminal and it stops. And like the doctor's like nose is bleeding and everyone's kind of like, what the hell was that? And this is when the doctor finds out that the code is in like Hellion, and he says the Hellions are uploading a delta wave to transmit with the song contest.
Yeah.
At this point, like sort of backstage, Kid notices that people are interfering with the systems. And Len, who is with Cora and Belinda, he also finds the Hellion script on the terminal. And Belinda's like, "What are Hellions?" And he kind of tells them the gossip.
Yeah.
And he says, like, apparently they practice cannibalism and witchcraft. They've got horns that give them psychic powers.
And Cora's just shuts him. She's like, there's a lot of rumours.
Cora says, like, there's a lot of rumours. People, like, say all sorts of things about species they don't understand.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, she's one of them.
Same. I will say...
Even before she said anything, just the way she was reacting, I was like, she's one of them.
Yeah.
I bet her horns are tucked underneath her weave.
Well, I thought that as well, but it did catch me off guard a little bit for what actually is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought because the way her hair on, because she's got the sides of her head shaved.
Yes.
But a lot of hair on top.
She got the Marge Simpson on top.
Yeah. Yeah, her hair's quite full. She's got quite like a big, like fringe thing on top. So I thought, her horns are going to be hidden under there. But
yeah. So the Doctor, Mike, and Gary move to a museum that's dedicated to like the song contest history. And the Doc says he basically needs a caustic hyperlink to fight the signal. And Gary says, "I can do that. I'm a technician." He says, "That's how I got the seats. I got the posh seats because I was in charge of tech design. I was in charge of like the hologram archive or something."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look," and then he like clacks away at the keyboard, and then we get holographic Graham Norton.
Yeah. Oh, and then the Doctor's like instantly like,
yeah, he's like all smiles,
and then
Graham Norton's like, "This humble little competition began on Earth and now spans over the entire galaxy." And he's like in glee, and then he kind of like comes down a bit, and he's like, "Belinda would have loved this." Because again, as far as he's concerned, she's dead.
Yeah.
As far as she's concerned, he's dead. He says, "Belinda would have loved this." And I can't remember if it's Mike or Gary, but one of them says, "Is that your friend?" And he says, "I'm her protector."
Yeah.
And he's obviously got some kind of guilt going on there. And at this point, he has a vision of Susan again. "Grandfather."
Oh.
That's how she talks. "No, stop it, grandfather." So the Doctor interacts with the computer again, and this is when Kid talks to him over the system. He's like, "Who the hell is messing with my systems?"
What was that?
Has he got an American accent? I feel like he does.
Does he?
I feel like he does. I can't remember. I have to watch it again.
I know. Oh, what's her name? Gwen, is it? Or
Gwen?
no?
Who the hell's Gwen?
The girl.
Win.
Close enough. She's got like an Irish accent, isn't she? Is it Irish?
I'm not too sure. I don't know.
think
I
it's
could be
like-
completely wrong.
See,
They'll all be Australian or something now.
No, I think she's got an Irish accent. I can't remember though.
Don't know. But yeah, Kid talks to him over the system. He's like, who's messing with the systems? Belinda's group, because they've got, what's his face? I keep forgetting his name. Kel? Or Len? That's it. Yeah, Len's tapped into the system. So they're now like eavesdropping on this conversation.
Yeah.
And Kid says that Rylan is essentially hosting Revenge Against the Corporation. And he says to the Doctor, who do you represent? And he just smiles and goes, the Doctor.
Yeah.
So the Doctor says, Kid is trying to kill 3 trillion people, but I'm saying no. So Kid basically says, hey, if you come anywhere near the gallery room, I'm just going to open the airlocks
Yeah.
and just suck everybody out. And the Doctor says, I wrote this down because this is great. He says, I will survive and I will find you because you have put ice into my heart, darling. You put it there. So I will cast your body out into the void and I will stand and watch you freeze to death.
Which is, I really like this because, again, Belinda can hear the conversations and she starts off and she's like, oh, the Doctor's alive. Oh my God.
Yes.
And then she hears the way he speaks to Kid and
She says, like, that's not him.
that's not him. He's different. Something's happened.
Yeah.
And I guess he's angry not only about the fact that Kid's about to kill so many people, but also in his mind has killed Belinda too.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's clearly, like, what the spark is here and why he's so, like... I mean, he does say a little later as well, the threat to, like, 3 trillion lives or whatever, it reminded him of his own people.
Yeah, it's
He
too
said,
close to home, isn't it?
that many people being wiped out in a second, it reminded him of the Time Lords and everything. But then, yeah, also the fact that, as far as he's concerned, this guy's killed Belinda.
Yeah.
Like... I understand why he would go there, and I'm loving this season that we're getting to see that slightly darker side of Ncuti's Doctor as well.
I
Because
agree.
obviously we had that moment at the end of Lucky Day, which I think is great. We had not dark per se, but we had that kind of slight thing, didn't we, where he was really hurt last week in the story in the engine. So it wasn't like bitterness in this way, but it was that thing of like when he tells Omo, like, don't ever talk to me again, and he's, I don't know, it maybe makes this jovial, excitable, happy thing seem maybe like a little more of a facade.
Because, well, I like this because obviously the Doctor kind of has supposed to have gone on, I don't know, not a retreat, but he's trying to have time as the 14th Doctor.
Yeah. Therapy out of order.
Yeah. And the fact that we've had, generally, Ncuti's been very forgiving and chipper about things, but I guess even his Doctor is starting to realise that doesn't always work. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that won't respond well.
Sometimes
to
you
being
have to
kind.
fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But yeah, he says, I will stand and I'll watch you freeze to death. And like you said, Belinda says, boy, that's not him. And Wynne appears and tells Kid that the Delta Wave is at 95%.
Yeah.
And at this point, Cora seems to recognise them both. And she kind of walks away. And Belinda says, do you know them? And this is when Cora admits that she does know them because she's a Hellion. And she lifts the back of her hair up and she had horns at some point.
And you can see, like, the stumps of the horns are still kind of there.
Think of Hellboy,
Yeah.
where he's, like, shaved his horns off, but obviously these horns are, like, on the back of her head as opposed to 2 big ones on the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, she shaved her horns off and pretended to be someone else, essentially, because
Well,
of how they are treated.
Because she tells them, because Belinda, again, I think another well-written thing is the fact that she's like, I don't know how to ask you this. I don't want to offend you or upset you, but she's trying to find out a little bit more. She asks if she cut them off herself, or
Yeah.
if somebody else did this to her, and Cora says that someone else has done this
Well,
to her.
she says by force.
Yeah.
So that it kind of doesn't really answer the question because it doesn't take away the possibility that she did it herself.
Yeah.
But she might have felt that she had to do it, that she was forced to do it. Do you know what I mean? Or it could be someone did it to her. We don't really get a conclusive answer with that.
Yeah.
We just get the impression that it's not something she wanted to do.
No.
But it's something that happened anyway.
And I guess she has that shame of being a hellion, but also that shame of kind of cutting her horns off and
having hidden it. And
having hidden the fact that, you know, her history and kind of not avoiding, but...
It would be awful, wouldn't it? Because you'd think, in terms of my people, I feel like I've just abandoned them.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, abandoned. Yeah.
Because I've just pretended to be someone else. But then at the same time, you'd have that fear of like, oh God, what if everyone finds out who I actually am? So you'd just be trapped, wouldn't you, in that state of like...
No one to comfort you, no one to confide in.
Yeah. She says her planet was destroyed by the corporation, who the makers of that poppy honey that we saw the advert for earlier. And clearly this whole thing with Kid and Win is it's an act of revenge, but it's not necessarily one she agrees with.
Yeah. She agrees that something needs to be done about it, but not
terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Belinda asks, she says, would Kid listen to you? And she says, maybe he might. And she tries to ask Len for help, but Len basically doesn't want anything to do with this.
No. It's such a weird reaction. He's like, all those years we worked to write that song for you, and you're a hellion. It's like, is that it? Like, oh, we worked so long to write a song? Like, you would have thought there would have been a bit more personable things there, but
Len says, I want nothing to do with this, I'm not going to help you. And she says, well, help everyone else then, because obviously everyone else is still
still watching the show.
Yes. So at this point the Doctor is kind of clacking away on a keyboard and drones appear behind them, coming to execute them. And Gary and Mike are like, Doctor, and he's just talking to himself. Like, Doctor! And as the drones get like really near, the Doctor just lifts up the sonic, kind of presses the button, and their heads just explode.
Yeah.
And they fall to the ground.
I love how he does this though, because he's so like focused on what he's doing, just clacking away at the keyboard. He doesn't even look, he just aims the sonic behind him. And just like boop, and then he goes back to what he was doing. And I love Mike and Gary's reaction. They're just like
yeah, they look terrified. It's funny because he goes like, oh, I need an expert in triangulation, and Gary goes, that's me, I invented the system. And the Doctor goes, Gary, I like you. And he goes, oh, thank God.
He's like, oh, good.
They look simultaneously terrified and really turned on
and impressed. They're like, wow, but also, oh God, he could turn at any point and we could die.
They did just hear him threatening to kill that guy. So back on the bridge, the delta wave is at 99%. Nina is still just tied to this chair. She's like begging them to stop, and at this point the Doctor appears, and Kid kind of like confronts him, and the Doctor says, I've met so many versions of you, Kid. Revenge is just an excuse because your cold, filthy heart just likes to kill.
Well, yeah.
I tell you what, there's something I really like about... I don't know if it's the lines or whether it's just the way Shooty delivers them, but whenever Shooty like describes like an evil person as having like a filthy heart...
It's venomous, I love it.
It's that thing. I don't...
He doesn't say filthy, he's like, filthy.
Yeah.
He's like,
he's like, you get the impression that he is disgusted by it. Not like, oh, I'm morally opposed to this.
Yeah.
You get the impression that he's like, I find the very concept of you disgusting.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He does a really good job of kind of carrying that off. But he says, your heart just likes to kill. And Kid says, if you insist, and then pulls out his gun and tries to shoot him. But alas, we find out he's a hologram being controlled by Gary.
Gary's like, oh no, they know.
He's like, oh no, Gary knows he's a fake. And this is when we hear the Doctor go, hiya. He turns around and the Doctor's now sat in the captain's chair,
and he's
command chair.
The Delta Wave
he's got
box.
He's just throwing it like a Rubik's Cube or something. He's just kind of bouncing it in his hands. Kid says something like, oh, careful with that. And the Doctor goes like, or what? And then he like throws it behind him, sonics it, and just blows it up. And Kid's like, oh, you're going to regret that, and like goes to shoot him. But then the Doctor just uses the sonic and just destroys the gun as well. And at this point, Kid's starting to look a bit freaked out. And the Doctor stands up, and he's so like, I don't know, just focused, so in the zone here. And he says, the thing about holograms is they're kind of soft, and they fizz, and they crackle, and they're kind of no use, unless you're me, and you convert them into hard light, in which case a hologram can hurt. And as he's saying this, he's putting on a glove, and then he kind of like waves his hand around, and he creates the hologram of himself to appear next to Kid, and the hologram goes to like put his hand on Kid's shoulder, and as he does this, it kind of like electrocutes him. And he obviously falls to the floor, like spasming, being electrocuted. And he just keeps doing it over and over and over again. And he says, you were going to kill 3 trillion people. Do you want to try this 3 trillion times? And he's doing this, and he's kind of like clenching his fist, and every time he does it, he's shocking him. It reminds me of like, you know, when the Emperor is electrocuting Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi? Kind of like that moment where he's just relentlessly torturing this man.
Yeah.
And as he's doing this, he gets another vision of Susan. She's like, grandfather, stop.
And he's like, no.
And he's kind of ignoring it. He's kind of like going, no, and he like kind of like, I don't know, clench. It's like he's trying to like bury it and put it away, and he just keeps going until Belinda and Cora walk in. And she goes like, Doctor, and he turns around and he sees her, and then that's when he stops.
It's when he realizes what he's been doing as well. He just takes the glove off.
Yeah, because obviously this is that thing of he sees she's alive.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my God, you're alive. And then he looks down at the glove, and he kind of realizes what he's doing, and he kind of looks like he's horrified by what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, almost in tears, like takes the glove off and like throws it on the floor, and then he runs over and hugs Belinda. Yeah. So at this point, Nina gets up and she overrides the drones, so she's in control of them again, and she gets them to arrest Kid and Win.
Yeah.
Cora asks what happened, and you know, why did you do this? And Win basically says, we had to tell everyone about the corporation. All you did was hide. And you're like, oh man, that's just plain on a guilt.
Well, that's the thing, because Win runs over to Kid, doesn't she? And she's trying to like getting him up, because obviously he's been electrocuted like a load of times.
Yeah.
I think here earlier on, Cora kind of gives a backstory that Kid's, was it his mother was shot in front of him?
Yes.
As a child, so you feel bad for them because they've been through a lot of stuff. Doesn't excuse what they're trying to do, but I guess as a kid, if you'd seen that and something like that had happened to you, it'd
leave a mark.
It would leave a mark, and a long-term mark as well. If you carried on living in that terrible situation, then
at this moment, like, they keep talking about the corporation, and I did have a wonder: is that just kind of a generic thing, being like the corporation? Or is this the same corporation that owned Platform 1 and funded the like the Earth Death Day thing?
Yeah, it might
I don't know if that's meant to be, if that's implied to be the same organization, or if it's just meant to be like, hey, the corporation behind all this, and they're just avoiding giving it a name.
Maybe.
Or is it like the same corporation that's called the corporation?
It might be. Either way.
I don't know. Well, it's a possibility either way.
Yeah.
So at this point, Kid is getting escorted out, and he says, I'll see you again, Doctor. And the Doctor says, I'll be ready. That ice you put in my heart is still there. I think it'll be there forever now, so take care.
The way he says take care as well.
Yeah.
So, take care. It's like, oh.
It's the same vibes as like Capaldi being like, you'll find the universe is a very small place when I'm angry with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Belinda asks, what do we do now? There's still like 100,000 people frozen in space in the Mavity shell. What?
Mavity.
Yes.
Why?
Why do you hate it so much?
I just do. Just
Just do.
do.
So yeah, the Doctor's like thinking, and Belinda's like, what are we going to do? There's all these people around. And he sat there kind of like thinking, and then he has like an epiphany, and he goes, Rylan. I did not expect Rylan to be such a like integral part of this episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Doctor's got a plan. So he gets Gary, the tech expert, to change hard light into a tractor beam. He says, can you do this? And Gary goes, I'll do anything for you.
Mike's like, all right.
Mike's like, all right, and
Gary turns back and he's like, anything.
Yeah, Gary goes, anything, and the doctor just like looks at him and goes,
yeah, he's like, yeah.
So then we cut to everyone floating out in space, including Rylan, and we see this like light fly from the ship, hit him, and kind of pull him into the station.
Yeah.
And then the doctor asks Mike if he can change Rylan's cryogenic chamber into a revival pod, and then he again goes, I'll do anything for you. And so Gary says like, hey, back of the queue.
Yeah.
We now cut to Rylan being revived, coming out of his pod, and everyone's like celebrating and we're like, yeah, it worked. And then Belinda runs up to meet him. She's like, oh my god, I'm so happy to meet you.
I love she calls it Mr. Clark as well. It's like, hello, Mr. Clark. I'm a nurse. I'll look after you.
Yeah. He's like, what happened? She goes, you came back from the dead. And he goes, sums up my career.
That gave me a proper chuckle.
So then they're obviously celebrating this victory, and the doctor goes up to Gary and Mike and says, now guys, can you do that 100,000 times?
And they're like, yeah.
That's a lot of times.
That's a lot of times.
Like 100 times, you'd be like, oh, 100,000 times.
This is my issue with this, right? This is my big qualm with this episode. One, I mean, I don't know how they did survive in space. Because they're still in space. They may be a gravity field, but they're still in space.
Yeah.
I don't know how they survived that. Just full stop.
They had a revival station or whatever
yeah,
it was.
sure, whatever. But, yeah, 100,000, that would take... Well, I know they arguably...
They speed the process up a little bit, because as everyone starts coming back one by one, the doctor gets Len into the VIP booth, doesn't he?
And he asks...
And he says, can you turn this into a revival booth?
Well, he says to return them, so he's going to get all the booths.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I guess that would speed up the process. Instead of going one by one, they can seemingly do what looks like maybe like 10 people at a time or something.
I don't know.
It'd still take a long time.
It would take a long time. It would take a long time, surely, to convert all of these just booths into revival booths. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm happy because nobody dies, but I just feel like it's a bit of a reset.
I preferred it when these stories were grounded, like when the Doctor fights Robin Hood with a spoon.
Exactly. I don't know. It felt a bit, yes and.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a bit hand wavy, a bit like.
Yeah, it was like
just go with it.
Yeah, and then we saved everybody in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
To be fair, we don't know how long it takes.
Well, they stay there long enough.
When the Doctor and Belinda leave, they're still in the process of doing it.
Well, they're doing the last. They're doing the last one, aren't they?
No, that's after the credits.
Yeah, but they hadn't got.
That's long. So we don't know how much time has passed.
Well, they said there's not long left, didn't he? Because she asks.
Oh yeah, no, that's. Well, I don't know. I don't think they actually specify how long it's been. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So, now everyone's seemingly back, or a lot of people are back at least, and the competition looks like it's resuming.
I love how the female presenter, who's looks like a cat, she's just got an eye patch on.
Well, yeah, because Rylan says that he explains that the contest is obviously null and void now, with them nearly dying and everything, and he goes, "She looks well." Yeah.
Again, properly tickled me.
Go on, but he
Rylan.
says there's one contestant left that he wants everyone to hear.
Yeah.
And that's Cora. So then we cut to Cora on the stage. It's funny because everyone's like applauding, and then the spotlight goes doom, and everyone just goes dead quiet, and it's really awkward.
Yeah. I love the fact that, can you imagine if you were you'd spent so much money on getting these tickets and it's all over, but you're still being sucked from space and trying to be brought back to life as the only contestant that's actually going to sing is on. You're brought back and it's all over, everybody's gone home.
Oh no.
You're like, what happened?
So at this point, Cora tells everyone that she's a Hellion.
Yeah.
And she says the corporation tried to bury me and my story and my song. So she sings. She doesn't sing the song from the
her actual entry.
Yeah,
to this Eurovision
she sings a song of her people that the corporation tried to bury, essentially, and she sings this song. It's fine.
I like it. It's
and
good.
everyone seems to love it. Everyone's moved to tears.
Well, because when she initially tells the audience that she's a hellion, there's a lot of booing and
Yeah, there's a lot of people look uncomfortable.
yeah. But even what's it, Len?
Yes.
Like Len's brought to tears.
Yeah.
Kid and Gwyn.
Win
Yeah.
is brought to tears.
Even Kid's crying.
Is he crying?
He is crying. Yeah, there is a tear. I looked. There was a tear.
Right.
I was checking. But yeah, so, because initially, after she finishes, nobody does anything. And he kind of pulls a face as if, like, oh, of course.
No.
Of course, nobody's cheering. They never were going to.
Yeah.
And then Gary starts clapping, doesn't he?
Yeah, Gary initiates the clapping. After the song's over, there's a good 10 seconds of silence, and it's really uncomfortable.
Good old Gaza.
And then Gary just starts clapping, and then Mike starts clapping, and then everyone in the room does, and then it eventually picks up, and then you just have the entire audience clapping along. And hey, yeah, like I said, we solved racism with a song.
It's a start, all right?
Yeah, it's cute. It's quaint.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's kind of moved to tears and is clapping and all that stuff. We then cut to the Doctor and Belinda, who are walking down the corridor, the museum corridor, and they find the TARDIS at the end.
The Doctor wants to show Belinda.
Well, the TARDIS was brought in because one of the workers there is like, yeah, we brought it in. She's a tough old thing you got.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that you made a point of noticing that his high-vis has a hoodie on it.
Yeah, I was like, it's got a hood.
He's got a pink high-vis with a hood.
Yeah. Makes sense.
He says, I've got a lot of accident forms to fill in.
Oh, God, can you imagine? Can you
think
imagine?
at that point, can you just make one form? Can you just do one form and just say how many people there were?
Yeah, but you'd have to have everyone sign.
I guess.
Oof.
Ooh.
Do you argue that because it was a possible threat to others, that the whole 3 trillion people would have to as well?
Oh, God, no.
It's just a forum online.
The worst admin job.
The forum online of, if you watched the Interstellar Song Contest, please sign this form.
Yeah. So yeah, Belinda says to the Doctor, I don't think I ever told you, but you're wonderful.
Oh, and the way he looks at her, he's like, oh, and he just gives her a cuddle.
Yeah, they have a hug, and she says, now you need to get me back home because I've got a tasty date on Hinge, is what she says.
Yes. So what was he? Was he a police officer or a fireman or something like that? I can't remember what she said.
I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Chef?
Something like that.
Chef?
Yeah, I think it was a chef. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, I got a tasty date on Hinge. You need to get me back to planet Earth.
Or some I think she said chef or whatever. It's going to think I've ghosted them.
Yeah. But as she says planet Earth, the Graham Norton hologram appears.
Yeah. And she's like, oh.
Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, it's Graham Norton. And yeah, he appears and he mentions that the Earth was destroyed on May 24th, 2025.
Yeah.
Reason? Unknown.
Oh, that's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, he says, everything used for the song contest was sifted from the wreckage. So at this point, the pair run back into the TARDIS, and Belinda's like, how can Earth be dead? And the Doctor's like, I don't know. But on the bright side, the Vindicator is now fully primed, so he can pilot the TARDIS directly to when they left.
Yeah.
So he's hitting his buttons, he plugs the Vindicator in, and as he pulls the lever to take off, all the lights go red, and we hear the cloister bell. That dong that always happens when the TARDIS is not working.
Oh.
And yeah, the TARDIS starts groaning.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's that? Belinda says, what's that? And he says, that's the sound of 2025 outside.
Oh, God.
And then the TARDIS explodes.
The door explodes off, doesn't it?
I don't know, because
The TARDIS doesn't
I don't know,
explode.
because it cuts so quick.
No, the TARDIS doesn't explode. The doors blow off or blow into the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's a big fiery explosion. We see the doors come off the hinges, and then it cuts really quickly.
Yeah.
And then we smash cut to the credits.
And then we jump out of the credits.
Oh, yeah, the credits go for a good, maybe 5 to 10 seconds, and I was remembering like, wow, that was abrupt.
Yeah.
And then we take a slight detour from the credits to see Mike and Gary save the last person.
Yeah.
And who is it? It's Mrs. Flood.
Do you know what made me laugh? My dad, because he knows that is it Anita
Dobson.
Yeah, he's like, he knows that she's been in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He's like, God, they've got her busy. I bet Brian May's missing her. Like, it's like, what? Obviously, they're married.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just laughing at of all comments to make. The TARDIS is just blown up or blown off the doors.
I quite like Anita Dobson in this series.
I do as well.
I think,
I'm kind of sad what happens next.
Was it last week when, during the flashback, when she sees Belinda in the hospital, she's like, hi, Belinda, just picking up my pills.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mrs. Flood comes out of the pod, and she's like, has the doctor left? And everyone's like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. Is the doctor still here? And they're like, no, he left.
Well, they ask how she knows him, don't they? They're like, how do you know the doctor?
Yeah. But they say he left not long ago. Well, I don't even think he says not long ago. He left at some point. We tried to find him, but he's just gone.
Yeah. And
she says, oh, okay, so it's safe then. And she says, her double brainstem is frozen. Lethal for a time lady. Immediately, I'm like, oh.
I just looked at Connor, I was like, oh.
I remember our conversation last week.
Yeah.
So I was like...
she had to be a time lady. She had to.
Yeah. She says her double brainstem is frozen, lethal for a time lady. And at this point, she starts to glow and she's getting ready to regenerate. And she does, but she doesn't just regenerate. She bi-generates.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Well, so she bi-generates, and like we saw in the giggle, her and her new counterpart, like her outfit kind of splits in two.
Yeah.
And so she's still here. We still have Anita Dobson as Mrs. Flood.
I'm glad we still have her.
And we have the lady whose name I can't remember. That's
Google it. Get the Google.
Get the Google.
Get the Google.
Archie Punjabi. Punjabi. So yeah, her and Anita Dobson are there. And what is it? Mike says, like, they didn't teach me anything about this in biology school. But yeah, the new incarnation, the Archie Punjabi version, basically says she identifies herself as the Rani. People have been theorizing the Rani's return for the last 15 years.
And here it is.
It finally happens. So yeah, she looks at Mrs. Flood and she says she's a Rani, but I am the Rani. The genuine article. The genuine article. And she takes the readings of the Vindicator and she says she's going to bring the Doctor absolute terror. And she marches off with Mrs. Flood kind of sheepishly following behind.
Teetering behind her.
Yeah.
Like a little duckling.
And that's it.
Yeah.
The Interstellar Song Contest.
Yeah.
How'd you find it?
I'm just so confused.
There's a lot to unpack, isn't there?
There's so much to it. This thing, it's a lot to unpack before the end.
Yes.
But then the end happens from the point that Graham Norton tells them that the world has ended.
Yeah.
Even you mentioned that. I can't believe Graham Norton is the one who told him that the Earth has exploded.
Yes.
To the end, there's so much there to, like, what?
So, Graham Norton's ruined Doctor Who a few times now, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't ruined it.
We had that moment in Rose.
Yeah.
When that aired back in 2005, when he, what was it, his mic, for some reason cut through on the wrong channel, and he spoke over Rose in the basement getting attacked by the Autons, and kind of ruined the tension of that moment. Then we had the bit in, I think it's Time of Angels, when Matt Smith is delivering that speech, and he's gonna he's holding the gun, and he's gonna shoot that like light on the ceiling, and then you see this little animated Graham Norton walk across the screen and take up half the screen.
Yeah.
And then we got this moment where he's actually in the show, but he gets to tell us that Earth is basically non-existent.
Yeah.
He's the omen. Bad human.
No.
yeah. So, what I will say is, upon a first watch, I was like, okay, I'm on board for the Susan stuff, the Rani stuff. I like the Doctor going dark, but I felt the whole kid Hellion plotline to be a bit naff.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the issue is with this is there's so much to unpack in this that I agree. I feel like it would have been nice. I know they have clips of Hellion and the poppy fields.
Yeah.
And we get that. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that. To be fair, I know a massive... The budget on this one, Jesus Christ. Not only is it the CG effects, but the practical effects. The amount of aliens in this to make all their outfits would be ridiculous. I do know a few
of the aliens in this. The masks and props, prosthetics and stuff, were reused from the Rings of Akaten.
Oh.
So remember when the Doctor and Clara were walking through that like market and there's a bunch of like varied like alien life forms and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was reused here.
Oh, well, at least it's not so bad, but still.
Yeah.
There's so much there, but I don't know, I agree. I think because there's so much going on, we can't focus on that as much.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a sad thing that's happened to the Hellions. I would have liked it not to have been so kind of glossed over.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, I get the analogy, the whole thing about Hellions being treated one way because they're different and they're actually harmless, but then you take that few, like, extremists who want revenge or whatever and you take it too far. It's like, I get what you're trying to say, but it's not subtle. And it's like, I guess not everything needs to be subtle, but it's like, I don't know, I just don't think that was as strong as the rest of these elements.
Yeah.
Everything to do with the specific plot of this episode. Actually, even that's not true, right? Because I'm going to say, I like Gary and Mike.
I like
their relationship with the Doctor, and I like how they plan to save everyone.
Yeah.
So the idea of like a terrorist thing happening and shooting everyone out into space and then having to come up with a plan to save them, I liked all that stuff. Pretty much everything that I'm a bit tentative about in this episode is based around Kid's character.
Yeah, I agree. Because one thing I was struggling with, I don't know whether you feel the same way, I felt the Doctor had so much anger towards Kid. And I felt like he didn't deserve it as much.
Yeah, like I say, I
like
know...
Compared to Conrad last week, or the week before, who deserved it.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Because in my head, I justified the way he spoke to Conrad as being... Because we haven't really seen much darkness from this Doctor. He's so personable and he loves his friends that what it takes for him to twist that way isn't like with David Tennant, it would just be someone being generally bad.
Yeah.
Where like with this, it's like, no, if you hurt someone on a personal level that this Doctor is best friends with, he will come for you.
But that's what I mean. This one was so personal.
Yeah.
Whereas
with
this isn't
one,
so much.
No, but at the same time, he does think that this person has killed Belinda and is planning to kill 3 trillion people.
I know.
That's a lot of people.
I know. But I don't know. It just...
I understand it.
Maybe it's not hyped up, but maybe it isn't the impact of what they're doing isn't there for me.
Yeah, I think
it's
maybe
just
it would
number.
help. Maybe it would help, yeah, if we actually got to, even if briefly, just cut to some people watching it. So instead of the 3 trillion people just being the number on the screen, if we actually got to see people's reactions to the stuff happening.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I think...
But then again, it's like, what would you have them react to? Because they replaced the footage with the dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
What would they have to react to?
But even if the Doctor, like, I don't know, so said of how many planets that would be worth of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe that would have been a bit more, but 3 trillion... It's not a number you can comprehend.
It's not a comprehensive number, is it?
No.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't think people fully appreciate the difference between 1 million and 1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing a video ages ago that was like, I think it was like 1 million grains of rice.
Yeah.
And then there was 1 billion grains of rice next to it in 2 different piles.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you talk about like 3 trillion, that's so many, but that's a number that there's not 3 trillion of anything. Do you know what I mean? Like if I say like 50,000 people, you might find that hard to visualize. But if I tell you, hey, this arena with a capacity of 50,000 people, just imagine that full, you can at least picture something.
Yeah.
You can't really picture what 3 trillion of anything looks like.
No.
Because I don't think there's enough space
Yeah, no.
to have that much of anything.
No.
So yeah, I get it. I see why the Doctor did it, again, with the thought of losing Belinda for such a heinous and selfish reason, and the threats, as he describes, reminding him of his own people. I understand it. But yeah, I agree that maybe the stakes weren't fully portrayed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I do like to see this darker side of Ncuti's character.
I do as
It's
well.
funny because even with all that, though, he wasn't any less fun on this adventure.
No,
when
I
he's being
agree.
his silly kind of cheeky self, he's still got it. I love how energetic he is. The fact that he like just hops over that wall. He doesn't like swing a leg over. He just jumps over it.
Yeah.
He's so fun and energetic and ready to just do stuff. And he just is the Doctor,
Yeah.
100%.
One thing because I know there's been rumours that he's not going to take on for season 3. I will be very sad if the finale that we lose him.
Yeah. Things that there's no way for us to know. In some ways, I understand it, because again, it's that thing of when you like them, you never want them to go. You want them to stay. But at the same time, if he were to go, there's a part of me that's like, I would actually respect it a lot. And I'd look at it in the same way I look at Eccleston's series, which is, okay, he didn't do the full 3 series that you come to expect. But at the same time, the fact that you wish you had seen more of him makes his era all the more bittersweet.
Well, I don't know, because for me, because he has had such a short era, his seasons are so small.
Yeah.
There's so few episodes. I feel like 3, whereas some others I felt like 3's been a bit of a reach. Do you know what I mean? Some of them...
Matt Smith.
Leave Matt Smith alone. But I feel like they've not outstayed their welcome, but they've done
The story was done by that point.
Yeah, done as much as they could do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not going to be the case with him. We barely know this Doctor. We've barely seen him. We've only seen a little bit of him. Like, I'd like to have
I don't know.
more.
I know we've had quite a few like Doctor Lights, but I don't agree that we don't know him.
I don't know him.
I feel like I know him, and yeah, I don't know. I would happily sign on for another series of Ncuti Gatwa, Doctor number 15, but if this does prove to be the end of his era at the end of this series, I would also be okay with it, because like I say, I see it as that thing of when Eccleston goes, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to have more of him. I'd love it if series 2 carried on with Eccleston, but it makes his run so much more bittersweet and so much more emotionally impactful, knowing how short-lived it was.
I don't know, because I feel like the best of Ncuti is yet to come. I feel like this season, not that he didn't last season, but this season he feels like he's in the role now.
Yeah.
And he understands what his Doctor is. I feel like the next season he'd be more comfortable.
Yeah.
That we could get the best, and then for him to leave then would be good.
I do understand that. But again, like I say, that there is a thing for me of, like the saying that like the flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long or whatever.
Yeah.
There is a part of me that's like that, because he's so passionate and he's so energetic that, I don't know, I would find it quite thematically, maybe satisfying is not the right word, but poignant maybe for that to be it. But we don't know. We got 2 more episodes to go.
We have.
And we'll see from there.
Yeah.
I don't really have much trivia.
No.
The only thing I just wanted to say was Russell T Davies pitched the episode to Juno as Die Hard meets Eurovision. And on that basis, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they accomplished that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's about it. Do you have anything else to say about the Interstellar Song Contest?
I do not. We have a little thing to say about next week. So we're not going to cover part 1 next week.
Yes, so, what's it called? Wish World? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Wish World episode 7. We're not going to cover when it comes out, because we will cover Wish World and the Reality War together when they come out.
Yeah, we're going to do it as we've done on the channel before. We put two-parters in one episode.
That's what we'll do.
We still will watch it, and we are going to be watching the final episode in the cinema.
We are. We're going to be watching the final two. We'll probably watch the penultimate one, obviously just like at home on TV, and then we'll see it again right before the finale in the cinema. So that'll be an experience. We did that last year, didn't we, with
yeah.
Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death.
Yeah.
We'll do that again. It's a fun little experience. So
Rob's going to be joining us as well.
yes. So yeah, no Shooty Gatwar episode next week.
No.
But there will be after that. However, we will, later on this week on the Friday, we'll be having the episode for Army of Ghosts and Doomsday going up. And we'll also be doing our Series 2 roundup as well. So you got all that stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing else?
Nothing else.
No. Cool. Thank you all very much for listening. We appreciate you very much, as always. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to keep up with everything that we're doing. You can keep up with all of this stuff. New series, old series, spin-offs at some point. Let's do everything. Let's do comic book reviews. Let's do audio dramas. Let's do everything. Let's do the Peter Cushing movies.
Oh my God.
Let's do it all, baby.
Let's walk before we can run.
Just hit the subscribe button, keep up with everything we're doing, leave a comment, say something nice to Charlotte.
No.
Any suggestions, let us know your thoughts on the episode if there's anything.
And just support Doctor Who. We've heard rumours that it's going to continue because there was a bit of time where it was dubious of whether if Disney was going to carry on the contract, whether it was going to survive.
Yeah, latest I've heard is BBC will resume with it regardless of Disney's decision, which is good news.
But if you are to do anything, show it your love.
Support
so it stays.
Watch it. Ideally, if you can and you're free, watch it when it comes out, like on release. If you want to watch it on iPlayer, that's fine, but maybe try and watch it as soon as possible because they go a lot by like the overnight figures.
Yeah. Or if you already have Disney Plus, watch it on there, I guess, because more viewing figures on there would more likely to keep it. But either way.
Yeah. But yeah, support the show. Support us. Support everything.
Well, I guess.
Support things you like.
Sure. On that note.
Yeah, on that note, thank you all very much for listening. I guess we'll see you in the next episode where hopefully we'll learn what the hell is going on.
Yeah. But in the meantime, vote for Dugga Doo.
Stay safe. Vote for Dugga Doo.
Yeah.
Stay away from corporate events.
Yeah.
And
see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.